Welcome back, YouTube. This is Balormage, and we are gonna go over my Aura of Decay build, which is basically Poison Righteous Fire. And now that it has a tree, super fun and good to play. So let's quickly go over all of our skills. Let's start with the Aura of Decay that we're running. I would probably do things slightly different than what I've done now that I've played it a little bit. For now, we've gone 10% less poison damage taken, super important, and all of the area, super important. Enemies affected by Aura of Decay have 90% less poison protection, which is great. And now I took these, which just make me shoot these extra little poison bolts out rather regularly. You can see them firing out here. I took those to begin with because I didn't think I would be able to handle the downside of going over this way, but I've rethought that and now I think I can. So I would personally drop these if I was going to make this character again. Those 5 points there, and I would take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this would drain 6 mana per second, which we can handle because we don't really use mana for anything else at all. And this one applies the poison and other ailments to myself and enemies 50% more frequently. So it would be a huge damage increase. Originally, I thought I wouldn't be able to handle the degen of doing that much damage to myself, but I have since changed my mind. And the reason I changed my mind, the main reason I've changed my mind, is because we have used the transplant skill tree here to make 2 things happen. One, we took bodies explode at destinations as well, so there's a body there. We've gone up with leave blood patches. Body explosions leave blood patches. The blood patches heal you 1 hit. And now we leave 1 patch of blood where we leave and where we land. That mixed with, on arrival, be enclosed in bone armor, preventing 30% of damage for the next 4 seconds. You put this node into it for an extra 5 seconds, and you're looking at 9 seconds out of 10 seconds. You take 30% less damage with an additional 40% effectiveness on that. So that on its own has made it, I could already maintain the poison aura on myself. It stops at about 17 to 21 there, and you watch, if I teleport, it becomes 6, 7, 6, 7, 6, 7. So I'm doing so little damage to myself now that I'm pretty confident that I could take this path and be okay. So in support of this, we have gone for a buttload of poison protection reduction in our curse. We took the 3 points here we needed to move over to this one, which is cursed enemies take 25% increased damage. We got all of the area, and we had 2 points left, so we took mana efficiency and curse duration. These are not important points. You could take the chill or the fear if you like it, or you could take the chill and a bit of that, or you could take 2 mana efficiencies, or you could take 2 durations. It really doesn't matter. Those last 2 points, not very important. So that's our curse. And we took Hungering Soul, which is going a very, very long way to making us very tanky. So why that's happened? First of all, we deal 70% increased damage over time for 5 seconds when you cast Hungering Soul. So we're using it to buff our Aura of Decay damage. We call forth a bunch of extra souls because it's cool to have a bunch of flying skulls. Add a bit of base damage because we need it for travel nodes. Then the important part, 5% chance to cast Hungering Soul when hit. Hungering Soul can no longer critically strike. That's fine. An additional 12% chance to cast Hungering Soul. 100% increased damage, you can no longer cast it yourself, and 12% to cast when hit. So now all I have to do is have Hungering Soul on my bar, but I can't, for some reason it bugs and lets me cast it once every time I log in, but then it will never cast again. You cannot cast Hungering Soul yourself, but it will just cast on its own when you get hit, and you will leech from it, and it will help, and it will increase your Aura of Decay damage, so it's fantastic. Then we've gone with Harvest, which I've gone 100% chance to poison on hit, 100% chance to shred poison protection on hit, which reduces their poison protection by an additional 100, lasts 4 seconds and can stack. And we've got a little bit of ward generation because we could and we've got 100% area. Like, why not have a little bit of ward? It just makes me a little bit tankier. Quick look at passives and what we've done. We've gone through Acolyte. We got 7 points here that we apparently needed. We got extra vitality here because there was nothing else we needed here at all. And we ended up with 40 poison protection. And when you kill enemies, you have a 40% chance to poison enemies near them. Probably not that important, but I took it anyway. And I've been taking this regen node. I would fill out this regen node eventually if I got more points. Regen is quite useful because we're doing the whole, poison ourselves. Over nothing on Necromancer at all. We've taken health and spell damage leached as health. Now, Aura of Decay is not a spell, but Hungering Soul is, and Hungering Soul and Transplant are both spells, so they're attributing leech to us, which is quite nice. We got 2 points in here because I needed 2 more points to go forward, and the way poison works is even if these minions do nothing, they throw poison at enemies, and the more stacks of poison an enemy has, the more damage they take from poisons. So as far as the extra 2 points to move forward, I might as well have those. You and your minions deal 56% damage over time. We took grants you and your minions health regen and extra vitality. It's worth noting that all these times that I've taken vitality, you get void protection, necro protection, and poison protection. Poison protection becomes pretty important when you're running a build like this. We ended up with increased poison damage from this node, and then we skipped all the way up to here, which I will max this one out eventually. I only put 1 point in it to begin with, and then just came back when I needed to. 100% damage from all sources of damage over time when you've killed recently, which is nice. This will be poison penetration. Great. And then we pretty much dumped points here and skipped everything all the way to the top here. This is the most important node because of a specific wording. 5% of damage leached as health. That doesn't say damage on hit or damage from spells or anything. It just says of damage. So this works on Aura of Decay. Aura of Decay deals damage. We can leech from damage over time so long as it's a generic you leech node. So this build didn't really work great until I got up to the top of Lich and took that node. So that is insanely good for this kind of build. Being able to leech from our degen is crazy good, and we will just run a quick thing to show you gameplay. I did really enjoy running this build. You'll notice that I don't really take very much damage at all, and if I stood still in things, I would start cut. You see all the Hungering Souls running around, applying their own little stacks of poison, and leeching to me. Their main job is to give me extra leech. They're half of what makes me super tanky. Now, this build is a lot faster than it looks because you've got to get used to running away. So like a big mob here, like this, you hit it 3 or 4 times, and you could just run away, and it will just die off screen. I could turn off Aura of Decay. Like it takes a while to get used to, and even for me it looked like a really slow gameplay, and I was like, this is a slower build than I intended it for it to be, and I was very confused by it. And the reason was I was sticking around way too long, especially if you do respec that Aura of Decay in a different way like I suggested. It'll be doing a lot more damage and applying those stacks a lot more frequently, and you will be able to just run through things and leave out the other side. So it takes a while to get used to, but it's quite fun. It's quite powerful. It's quite tanky. You can just sort of sit here. It's basically Ratchet's Fire. It will leech. It will tank itself. It will send out Hungering Souls to leech enemies elsewhere. It's so tanky and so fun, and I have not invested a lot into the gear here. I'm pretty sure I can stand in these things. It just doesn't. The big hits can one-shot you still, because you can't out-leech one giant hit, but you don't need to do anything. Obviously you'll do more damage if you do stuff and attack and curse and you'll be able to do some pretty good single target. It just takes a minute to ramp up, like most dot or degen builds. But it is very fun, very strong. The only important things on your gear are to get poison protection. I'm using this poison belt. I don't actually know if this works. I'm using it with the assumption that each tick of Aura of Decay has a 50% chance to apply an extra poison because of this belt, but I'm actually not sure that that's true. And if it's not, it's 100% not worth wearing this belt. So other than that, the only things that are important is to stack a decent amount of poison protection. Obviously I should get at least a few hundred of the others eventually, but I didn't want to invest too much in the gearing here. I took poison chance and poison damage and attack speed on my weapon, and everything else is just defensive. A little bit of protections, a little bit of Grant's Glow, a little bit of health. That's pretty much it. That's the whole build. The gearing was very easy. The only thing different from normal was getting some poison protection. And as you can see, very tanky, very good damage. Easily way more damage if you respec out of this and into this stuff up here. Don't go through this node. I can't stress that enough. This one will make it, no matter how good you are, eventually this will outstrip your own protections, because it just keeps going and it doesn't seem to have a decay. Just the rate at which Aura poisons you accelerates over time by 5% each second. Eventually that's going to overpower whatever you do. Eventually that will be too much. So I heavily suggest up through this node and into that one. That way you're getting a lot more poisons, 50% more poisons, and then 30% more frequent from that one with a little bit of mana drain, which is fine. And then you'll have a set amount that you'll be able to counter with your gear and regen and poison protection, rather than this, which is just unlimited scaling that will eventually kill you. I did not like the playstyle of having to turn the aura off. I don't like that. I want to leave it on forever. So yeah, very fun build. The new Aura of Decay is fantastic. Using Transplant in a different way than last time as a defensive buff and movement ability, fantastic. Using Hungering Soul as a automatic cast Leech to keep me alive, just fantastic. Really have enjoyed this patch and all the new skills so far. Definitely got another one in the works, but for now, this one, very fun. I've moved on to make a different build, a lightning based one. We'll see that one later. But yeah, this was very fun. I suggest playing it, especially if you do like the Righteous Fire type of playstyle. So yeah, that's it. I am Balormage. I will see everybody later.